It's amazing. Hey, photo sharing discussion number 225 is on. This is 250,000. What is that? What's it break down to a million? I don't know. We're on our way to 1 million episodes.
Yeah.
225. Yeah. Almost there.
when we're all heads in jars kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm just gonna
virtual reality.
Set it on autopilot. Yeah, and freeze myself like Walt Disney, and then come back.
Yeah.
In quite a while. So how's it going, Wes? Good.
Going pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, good. You were in Orlando last week. You were for that camera show.
Orlando.
Okay.
Kiwi Camera and Service.
Kiwi Camera. Huh.
Cool.
So are they a large retailer or something?
No,
okay.
It's just a really small sort of local business. They do camera repairs and sell used cameras as well.
Oh, okay. Cool.
They had sort of a flea market in their parking area.
Okay. Good. Was the weather good? Good weather?
Yeah, it was really good weather. It was actually pretty hot last weekend.
Okay.
It's like almost 90 degrees, I think.
Wow. That's warm, but the humidity probably isn't what it is in the summer, though, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, not bad humidity, so it was bearable.
Cool. So that was what? Was that both days, Saturday and Sunday, or just Sunday? Or
just Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And was it well attended?
Yeah, I would say there was a lot of people there.
Okay. Good. And you know what the next question is? What did you get?
I didn't buy too much. Because prices were pretty high.
Okay.
You know, compared to what I'm normally looking at thrift stores and garage sales and stuff like that, and trying to get the lowest prices on eBay kind of thing. But
yeah,
I did buy I've been curious about these Tamron Adaptol lenses that they made.
Okay.
And it was a series of lenses that Tamron made in the late 80s, I think. They started doing these, but they're all different kind of lenses, but you buy adapters for whatever camera body you have. So, you buy, this is a 28 millimeter f2.5 lens, and then it has an adapter on it for Canon cameras, but you can buy the Olympus adapter, the Nikon adapter, the Minolta adapter, whatever you had, you would buy the adapter for, and then you can move the lenses around to different bodies.
Okay. Cool. So which one did you get?
It's a 28 millimeter 2.5, and I got it. It came with it already had a Canon FD mount on it, so that's what I'm using it on my F1 right now. Okay.
And have you had any impressions with it, good or bad, or indifferent at this point?
Yeah, indifferent. I haven't had any film developed or anything with it. I've taken a few pictures with a digital on it and just to see, but.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just to see if it actually works.
Right.
If there was anything like wrong with it that you didn't see when you bought it. Yeah, like fungus or scratches or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it has any kind of fungus or dirt or anything in it. But and there's also now that there's adapters for mirrorless cameras that you can put these directly onto as well.
Oh, sweet! So you'll be able to get one for the for your Olympus.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide which one, if I want to get the Olympus one first or the Fuji one first.
Fuji, okay, yeah. Well, that's kind of cool. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm sure. I wonder what the image circle, how much it's going to infringe on the image or not. Because anytime you put different lenses on, sometimes it constricts the. Looks like you're looking through a tunnel. Sometimes it'll be interesting.
Yeah. Well, no, it should. I mean, it's for full frame 35 millimeter, so it should.
Yeah.
More than cover the 4/3 sensor or the APS-C sensor, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. Well, cool. That'd be interesting to see. Now, Dennis, welcome back, and it's perfect time for you to ask your question.
Ask my question. Well, I know Wes hasn't taken that last photo.
Yeah, I haven't. I'm sorry.
You had the perfect opportunity last week, Wes. You could have taken that camera down and taken a photo with the old camera of all the old cameras. That would have been.
Yeah, I should have done that.
Yeah. There's always next week.
Yeah.
Welcome, Joe. Dennis.
Hey.
Mark, I won't be staying on tonight because I managed to pick myself up another cold.
Mm.
I've had such a cough the last few weeks. I didn't come on last week because I just couldn't stop
Okay.
coughing.
Yeah.
I'm not shifted it yet, so I've had antibiotics. Wonderful.
Okay. Yeah.
So I just show my face.
Okay. Well, good. No, glad you're still vertical. That's always a positive.
Yeah.
And, but those colds can be nasty. I mean, if you just get one and then it doesn't go away, and then you get something else, yeah.
Yeah, I had the cough in the new year, and it's just it's never really gone away, and this now it's turned into a chest infection. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So rather than coughing in the background, I'll give the rest of the show a miss this week, and I hope by next week I could have shifted this.
Okay. Well, good. Yeah, I hope so too. Get well, get lots of sleep. Enjoy your week of Sundays.
The fantastic news is that Kevin Harvick has been leading most of this race, and there's only 56 to go. So I know that will at least make you feel a little better.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that, Joe. I'll sleep a lot better tonight. Thanks.
You gotta tune in for the NASCAR update, since we are back in the season. Is this the third week of the season now? Yeah, third week.
Yeah.
Third week of the season. So only like 35 to go.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, Dennis will be tuned in every week to get the NASCAR update at a minimum.
That's right. They're in Vegas right now, Dennis. So they'll be here in Phoenix next week. So.
Okay, I will see you next week then, guys.
All right, take care, Dennis. Get well.
Cheers. Feel better.
Yeah.
Bye. So are you going to the? You're going to go to the Phoenix race next week, Joe?
You know what's hilarious is I have, previously to moving here to Phoenix, I would go here to go to races. I would go out of my way, spend a lot of money to come here to go to races. Have not been to a single race since I lived here yet.
Yeah, you've been there 3 years pretty much now. You're coming up on 3 years, and well, isn't that the way it is though? Wherever you live, you just don't do anything where you live.
No, it's hilarious because I've looked into going to Atlanta to go to a race. My oldest daughter lives in Charlotte. Of course, I've looked into going to races there.
Yeah.
Everywhere but Phoenix turns me on now.
The way it is. Yeah. Every place we've lived, you kind of get into your routine and you just do the regular stuff, and you very rarely do the stuff that that's there. And then when you leave and you go back to visit, then you do all the stuff you never did while you were there. I was like, shit, we should have done this, when we lived here.
You just don't have. I don't. By the time I'm off, I don't have the. And now I fight traffic all day, so I don't have the energy.
Yeah.
The mental energy. It's not a physical thing so much, but the mental energy to go through all that traffic that it takes to go to that race. It's insane.
Yeah. That's you spend almost as much time, and I know it's true for Atlanta. If we and we haven't been. I mean, we haven't been to a race here in Atlanta, but people that do go down there because it's south of the city and it's so crowded, they spend more time in traffic going each way than they actually do watching the race. It could easily be a 2-hour drive back from there, and an hour to 2 hours to get down there. And it's not that far south of the city. It's 20 miles south of the airport, basically.
I tell you, when you, I don't know about other tracks, but here in Phoenix, man, you can literally walk for almost an hour. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like you park, and you can get good parking and still walk a half hour. I'm not even kidding you, to your car or to
Yeah, no, it's the same way here at the Atlanta. I've been to the track. We haven't seen a race there, but I've been to the track, and it's the same way. The parking areas are out, they're big fields or whatever, and close-in parking is still almost a mile walk. You got to walk to the track, and then we got the pedestrian thing that goes under the track. And then you get in, and then you go around, to the grandstands. But even close-in parking is, you're going to be walking 15, 20 minutes at least. And if you're outlying parking, it's like bring a backpack and camp overnight.
Yeah, literally, it's what's funny about racing is that it's probably one of the healthiest sports to see because you're going to get in a lot of exercise. Literally, I mean, because you've got to walk at least a mile to get in the track. And then once you're in the track, those tracks are, 1 mile, 1.5 mile, 2 mile circles. And man, you are walking and walking and walking. I mean,
you end up,
you will be physically
you end up walking quite a bit. Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, we haven't made it to. They used to have 2 races here, one in the fall and one in the spring, and then they cut out the fall one a few years ago, and now it's just the one in the spring. But we're so close to Talladega. That's the one place I do want to go see a race.
Oh man!
But talk about a madhouse. God. I mean, that's like an hour. It's like 2 hours away, from us. Maybe 100 miles or something like that. Which
Talladega is something I would do.
Yeah, super speedway type thing. Yeah, and I just haven't been able. I don't know why, but I haven't been able to talk Pam into saying that she really wants to go do that. I don't understand.
Bristol as well.
Yeah. Yep.
Hey Pat, have you shot a race?
Yeah, I shot just recently. I shot one of the NASCAR ones. I've been there a couple times.
Okay, cool. Welcome, by the way. Glad to have you back here. Yeah, good to have you. Yeah, that would be interesting to shoot a race like that. Now, where did you position yourself, Pat? Where were you when you was it a NASCAR? So I mean, just around and around and around.
It was just a PIR. So I was shooting it was actually the truck series, which is kind of like the minor leagues for NASCAR. I was doing a magazine article about a guy who was kind of up and coming. Okay. So we just kind of followed him for the day as he got ready and did the time trial and stuff. So I was kind of all over the place in the pits and.
Okay.
Right. I didn't really ever get up in the stands because the longest lens I had was 200 millimeters. So, for a racetrack, if you're up in the stands, it doesn't do much for you.
So it ends up more of like a documentary shot as opposed to a sports shot, probably. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I was kind of behind the scenes sort of thing. But,
Cool. Yeah, that would be. I would think it would be fun if you could get up close. I mean, that would be a fun because everything's so colorful. The people. I mean, I mean, I've been in motorcycle race, and car, NASCAR, as well as sports car, SCCA type stuff at when we lived in California. It used to be called Sears Point, but that was really close to us, so we went a few times. And you get pit access. It's just cool. I mean, it would be really fun to get in. Lots of good photo ops in there, I would imagine. So, well, good. Glad to have you. And Frank.
Yep.
Good to see you again. Yeah. Great. Doing good. So Wes he went to the camera show and got himself a lens. Is that all you got, Wes? Just the lens?
That and a book about the Canon EOS 650, the very first EOS camera.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Cool.
What interested you in the book? Why the book?
I want to do a YouTube video about the whole development of the EOS system and everything. So I thought that would be good for research.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. When did that come out? The 650, was that the first EOS or first camera with the EOS name on it?
1987.
Yeah. That was with that tennis player, wasn't it? That was the
John McEnroe.
McEnroe or Agassi, Andre Agassi. He was a Canon guy for quite a while. He was always.
I remember Agassi. Yeah,
Agassi was the big, but maybe it was McEnroe that maybe he was the initial one.
It probably was. Yeah.
Yeah. No, my when I got a film camera was 1991. It was a Rebel, so it was the second. It was the second Rebel. EOS Rebel was the one I got. No, it was a film camera, obviously, and it was a good little film camera. It worked well. I got some good images with that. So that's cool. So you're going to try to do the history of the EOS, kind of from way back then up through.
Right.
Wow, that's a lot of cameras. I can imagine there's a lot of models. Jeez, that's 30 years, basically.
Yeah. Kind of just like the development of the system and how they completely changed their mount as they realized that they couldn't continue on with the FD mount. They had to completely redesign it from the ground up, kind of thing.
And why was that? What prompted them to totally redesign it? I don't.
They just decided it was a space issue as far as getting electrical contacts in there, and they, if they wanted to maintain the old physical controls of the old system, They couldn't get both things in there and then have enough space for like f1.2 lenses. You had to have a big piece of glass in the back, so there just wasn't enough room.
All right. So the EOS was basically starting from scratch, and they built a brand new chassis.
They took a huge risk doing that, and it ended up paying off for them. But kind of a different, Nikon took the opposite approach where they just continued on with their same mount forever, and
I'm always surprised at how tiny that mount is when I use a Nikon lens.
Yeah,
it seems so small compared to EOS.
Yeah, back then Nikon was really concerned about not pissing off their consumer base that was already heavily invested in the older manual focusing stuff. They wanted to have everything compatible with everything.
Yeah.
And so it unfortunately for them, it made things very difficult for their new consumers because they had so many different lens mounts.
Yeah, nobody knew what to pick from. What mount do you get?
It's the same thing now. If you get a D3 3200, 3400, there are certain bodies. That body doesn't have a internal focusing motor. So there are certain lenses that will or won't work with that camera body. And as a beginner, when you're looking at used stuff on eBay, there's 5 different mounts, and who knows what the heck they mean.
Exactly. Yeah, they're not exactly descriptive as far as the names they give to the mounts. I mean, it's just like, okay,
AIS. What does all that mean?
Wow, that's kind of an interesting thing you're doing there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that you could go way into the weeds. You could spend a long time researching that. I would think there's so much information there.
Yeah, that's kind of deep there, Wes. I didn't realize much about it.
Yeah,
it was cool.
It's an interesting sort of history there.
Wow, that's
but I mean
it seems a lot like the Macintosh and Windows sort of deal, right? It seems like when Apple decided to go to OS 10, or was it OS 9? OS 10 from OS 9, right? And Microsoft just kind of stayed right there where they were at because they didn't want to piss off all the people, like Frank was saying. They didn't want to piss off all the business community, right? That had all the, so they had so many different systems, and boy, it sounds like that sort of similar kind of deal.
Yeah, very much so. It's taking the approach that we're gonna give you the best we can do, and you're just going to have to suffer from buying all new equipment, or the Windows approach where we'll work with what you got, kind of thing.
So the risk for them was to build a whole new platform, basically,
right?
And that the risk was that people weren't going to buy all new equipment, but enough of them did, obviously, and plus all the new people that got into it. I mean, that was their big push. Was the beginning photographer, somebody that really hasn't done serious photography. If I remember those commercials correct, it was all about how easy it is to take great photos. You don't need to be professional to take good quality photos. So that's so where everybody else, where Nikon was sticking with and not wanting to piss off the consumers or the pros. Canon's like, okay, well, we're going to do this whole new thing and see if we can find a new core group of consumers.
I mean, you think about that, man. You think about how times have changed, right? Because that was the 80s. We all remember that. We're all old enough to remember that. And if they put all their eggs behind men's tennis.
That's the other thing. It's Andre Agassi. I was like, okay.
I mean, it was men's tennis was that big back then. I mean, it was at least paid attention to quite a bit. We knew who the big American stars were and all that. Where's men's tennis now? You couldn't even name a men's tennis.
It wasn't just tennis. It was pretty much all sports. And that's where Canon was really going for, because if they could make a camera body that was really, really good for sports, that meant that the Florida journalists who were doing sports and they were also doing a bunch of other stuff would migrate to Canon, and that's exactly what happened. Back in those days, you take a look at a soccer match and take a look at the photography box. and it was just a sea of white lenses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was all
And
Canon.
it boiled down to back then, if you wanted to manually focus, you had to flip a switch with the Nikon. With Canon, they invented the rear focusing button, so you could focus on something at second base, and when the peak action happened, you could hit the shutter button and it would take the shot, and you wouldn't have to worry about your 400 millimeter lens focusing on the center field. With Nikon, that didn't happen. You had you had no way of freezing the focus except by putting the camera into manual focus at that point.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah, that would be a huge thing because you could pre-focus basically, lock it in, and then when
recompose your shot and take pictures all day long and then not have to worry about your camera refocusing.
Yeah, because that was the area that you were responsible for covering. Like you said, the guy covering second base. I mean, that's
that was huge. That was absolutely huge. And that was probably the primary reason at that point why Sports Illustrated dumped their Nikon gear and went full Canon at that time.
Wow, man, that's some serious knowledge right here, guys.
Yeah, I mean but that makes perfect sense though. I mean, when you think about it, because I mean, like somebody like Sports Illustrated, if they're going to cover, say, the World Series, they're going to have a photographer or two covering each base and then each position, basically. So those guys could for whoever's responsible. Okay, Bob, you're responsible for left field, and Larry, you're responsible for right field, and Leroy, you're the pitcher. So they could all focus, preset basically, and then they're set. They just kind of do what they need to do, and they've got a really good chance that the shots they take are going to be good.
Right.
Because there was no chimping. I mean, you're going to miss it anyway. Digital or film doesn't matter. If you miss the key moment, it doesn't matter whether you can look at it after the fact. You're like, oh crap.
That must have been when Canon just and it's funny because even when I bought my gear, even years and years and years later, I still had that in my mind that I needed to go Canon because Canon just in my mind was still always the big boy, compared to Nikon. You know what I'm saying? And that must have been that time when Canon just jumped way above Nikon.
Yeah. Prior to that, Nikon was king.
Yeah.
All the rest were all Nikon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
Canon was a consumer camera.
Yeah. Well, that's a cool project because that is a huge turning point in photography, really, when you think about it, with all the stuff that goes into it. And
that was right at the edge of digital. I mean, digital comes out
10 years later. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 years later, you're looking at digital cameras coming out. Was it the Canon? What was it? The 1DX? Was that the first digital or
something like that? 1D something, yeah.
Yeah. And that was probably 97, 98, maybe?
Yeah, 2 or 3 megapixels.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. That's not that long ago. I mean, it's like
those cameras were like $15,000.
Yeah. Now I remember when I worked at Kinko's as a commercial account manager, we were way ahead of the curve. We all remember those Apple. What were they? I want to call them the handy cameras, but they were the little digital cameras that Apple came out with, like 1995, 1996. And they bought one at the time. Kinko's had, I don't know, maybe 700 stores in the country, and they bought one they had one camera at least for every store in the country. And their whole thing was, this is going to be great. We're going to be able to rent it out to real estate people for $20 an hour, and they'll be able to digitize their pictures of their house. I mean, that was their pitch, that we're going to be able to do this, and people are going to rent it for it was like 10 or 15 bucks an hour or something to rent this camera, which at the time was like a $1,200 camera, and it was a 360 360 pixel. I mean, it was amazingly small, but and I was tasked with going out, and I went out with the camera, and I went to the real estate offices and said, hey, look at this, you can do this and this and this.
Wow.
And
and then the iPhone came out and killed that idea.
Yeah. Well, that one actually worked for a few years. I mean, it was a retail location, so people could walk up, and as a business person, you could rent the camera and take it on, do whatever you need to do, and then the idea was you'd bring it back, and you'd hook the camera up to the Mac in the desktop, what they call the DTP, or desktop processing area, and they would download the image from the camera and work it in Photoshop, and then print it out on a color printer. So that was the whole gig, and it's kind of funny. That worked good. They had an idea for large format fax, like being able to fax like an architectural drawing. That didn't work so well, but yeah. I do remember the little cameras, but yeah, it was like 95, 96. Mm-hmm. So it's only been 20 years that digital's been around. It's crazy how much has changed. Okay, so Wes got a book for a massive research project. It's probably going to take him the rest of his life to complete it.
I know, right? I mean, that's like a huge project, man. I mean, I really didn't think much about asking you that question.
There's a lot, though. Yeah, there's a lot there to do. So, yeah, this is show 225. So I think Wes could probably still be doing the project in show 2225. We're probably good with that. That's like 40 years.
That is, dude, he just like blew my mind with that, because, when you're telling initially me that, I'm going to do a little video about the EOS system. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, so what? You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, but then you start thinking about it. You're like,
yeah. Well, what you need to do is you need to, I think what you should do is review every EOS camera from beginning to end. Mm-hmm. So you have to get.
I plan on doing some reviews. And stuff,
so if you get people to send you cameras, like, hey, if you've got an EOS 850 or whatever it is, I'll be review it and do a write up, and you can just compile kind of like almost like a spreadsheet. Here's all the different models. Here's all the different things. That would be kind of interesting. Yeah. To see the changes from one to the next and.
I've got a couple of the lenses that were the first 9 lenses that they released in '87. I've got a couple of those already.
Okay, cool. So that's actually a pretty interesting project.
It is very interesting, yeah.
And if you can get the cameras, and then you can use them, and then document, and then use them to photograph, create images with it. That would be really cool. Yeah.
One of the more interesting cameras, which was a complete failure, was the Canon T80.
I have one of those as well for the project.
There you go.
So was that's not an EOS, was it? No,
it was a stopgap in between manual and autofocus. It was an autofocusing lens system that used, I think, infrared.
There's the camera, but I don't the lens.
Oh, there you go.
I don't know if you can see the contacts in there. There's some gold contacts in there, but that's an FD Canon mount.
FD mount. Okay. Wow. So the lens was autofocus, but there was no direct connection to the body. Is that?
And it has. I think it just transmits power mainly, and maybe the aperture something to do with
probably.
That.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I mean that's a huge. Right at that point, when autofocus was really coming in.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it takes at least a second to focus. It only has one focusing point, and it's bad. You can never use that for sports.
Yeah, and then you fast forward to what we have now, and dear God, if any part of your camera took a second, you're pissed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's broken. If it takes a second, then there's something wrong. You're sending it back for repair.
I mean, it's like, even your flash system, even talking to, right now, the longest thing that takes anything to do on your camera nowadays is a full power strobe. When you initiate that sucker, it can take up to a second or even a couple of seconds to get back to full power, so it can
fully charge.
Yeah. And now you've got those times. I mean, you can do multiple full power shots with a strobe. That's the longest thing that we have going right now. Is that
everything else is milliseconds? Autofocusing and all that stuff.
for me on my camera, it's long exposures. Most cameras nowadays don't really have much of a heating problem. But my camera, if I take a picture longer than 30 seconds, it's like I take a 1 minute exposure. The camera will take another 1 minute exposure for a black shot and then look for hot pixels and fix it in camera, which is horrible if you're the type of person doing any kind of long exposures. That's the only thing I hate about my camera.
Yeah, because the sensor just heats up, basically. Yeah.
So now I'm sitting there for 3 minutes after a 3 minute exposure, waiting for another 3 minute exposure before I can take another shot.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you run into that, Pat? I know you do some long exposures, right?
No, I don't think it. I mean, no, the longest I really do is around 20, 30 anyway, 20, 30 seconds.
We need to ask Simi, because I mean he's doing like 300. Yeah, he's doing 4 or 5 minute exposures. So I want to find out what's going on there.
Yeah, he just starts the thing and then walks away, has lunch, comes back.
Yeah, literally massage, comes back, and
he does this like 300-second exposures, doesn't he?
He's got extra time to be submitting to groups then.
Yeah, no, that's what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, but he's using what is it? What cameras he uses? Is it the 8 or 750?
750, yeah.
750, yeah. So, but he has never said anything about having issues, with those.
I do think he did mention something. He has mentioned something.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he has said he does do the long exposure noise reduction where it takes the second image.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he does. He did mention something.
Okay. So he has even more time. He can pour himself a double espresso.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
Oh man, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean it's something that it's really the same as that issue with digital cameras is kind of the same thing as reciprocity failure with film. I mean, it's basically you're compensating for the fact that film when you get into longer exposures, film takes longer to get the areas where they need to go. So it's kind of the same thing, only different. Yeah. Interesting. Well, Wes, you bought some camera equipment, and if anybody watches, what's the Jimmy Stewart Christmas movie?
It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life. And was it Clarence? He says every time an angel gets its wings.
Bell rings.
Yeah.
Okay. Bell rings. I think.
Well, every time an old camera or camera part is purchased and saved from the landfill, a new camera has to sacrifice itself for that. And I am the yin to your yang here, Wes, because I destroyed a camera this week.
Whoa!
Oh, no.
Well, I guess it's a camera that makes phone calls. So I'm going to show you this. Now, remember, was it last week or the week before I said I was going to try to change the battery in my cell phone?
I remember that.
It's a Moto X that I got 3 years ago, and the battery was, it's an internal battery, and it's supposed to be it says non-user serviceable. So the battery was getting to the point where it was just running down. If it wasn't fully charged, it would run down very quickly. So I'm like, okay, I got to get a new phone, or I could replace the battery. So I went online and I bought the replacement battery, which was like $15, and it came with the little kit, the screwdriver and all the stuff to take everything apart. And then so I got that, and then I watched a couple YouTube videos. I thought I was pretty good. I was ready to go. So I got everything taken apart on the phone. I got the back kind of peeled off, which was adhesive. I got that, and I got all the little 20 micro screws taken off, and I got everything separated. I took out the old battery, put in the new battery, and thought I had it all connected up. Put it all back together, plug it in. It shows that it's charging. I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I hit the button, power up, and it wouldn't boot up. I'm like, oh, shit. So I go back in and I take it apart again. And in the process of taking it apart, I tore the little strip that comes from the new battery, the little power strip that comes out that plugs into the board. that tore. I'm like, oh, crap. But then I'm trying to get the little connector off, and then that broke. So I want to show you this. If anybody wants to know what the inside of a Motorola X looks like. Okay, so here's the front. Looks great. That's the way the phone is. Well, that's the inside of the phone. Here's the battery semi-connected to the inside of the phone. So yeah, it's a paperweight at this point. So that's the back with all the adhesive. So I took it apart, put it back together again. It charged, but it wouldn't boot up. Took it apart to fix it and broke it in the process. So, so yeah, there's the camera right there at the top. Yeah, so it's dead. It's a paperweight right now.
Yeah, there are some people that will buy those phones like that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I ended up because I don't really use the phone. I don't store music. I don't stream. I don't do that much streaming of videos, that type of stuff. It's pretty much just I need to access my email, Untapped, of course, for beer check-ins, that type of stuff. So I got a Motorola, another Moto phone, but it's the what is it? The Motorola G5, which is just a basic. It's like 5.2 inches. It's got an internal battery, but it was only $190 at Costco. So, and it works fine. So that's my new phone. But I did destroy I guess a camera posing as a phone in my quest to change the batteries. So that was, you should have seen me at midnight last night. Crap, this thing isn't turning on. I got to use it. And I just screamed.
So that's why you were on the show on Pam's phone.
Well, yeah, we were actually at the yeah, that's why, because I took the phone apart yesterday afternoon and said, I can get it done and get it put back together before we need to go. Well, I didn't. And we had to leave. So then we went to the Symphony last night. So I was like, oh, well, my phone's still in pieces. And I'll fix it when I get home. Yeah, no.
Yeah, right.
That's on Pam's phone. But yeah, so I destroyed a camera. Wes saved a camera or a camera part from the junk pile. I contributed to the junk pile, so all is good with the world. But
Kevin Harvick just won that race.
Okay.
In Vegas, for all those that need to know.
Yeah. So that was my experience with camera. That was my photography experience for the week. I destroyed.
Got a little show and tell. Some new stuff, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Oh, this is hilarious! They've got sumo wrestling ice skaters, dude.
Oh, you haven't seen that commercial yet? That's a funny commercial.
What are they selling?
I have no idea. Oh, Geico.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, they've got sumo wrestler ice skaters. That's unusual. Geico, not so much, or whatever. But yeah, they says, oh, and the baby bird, and he takes his hands and he releases the bird. Stunning, I think, is what they say. Yeah.
Sorry, Pat. That was just.
No problem.
You do not expect to see that, you know.
So how about you, Pat? Did you buy any equipment or destroy any equipment in the last week?
Not destroy, luckily, for once, but
okay.
I got a couple new things, and I wouldn't normally show a box, but I think maybe you guys had talked about this lens before. I barely tried it out, but I got the IRIX, the 15mm Blackstone. It's like a manual focus 2.4 lens.
Oh, cool.
But the crazy thing is I've never seen packaging for a lens quite like this. I don't know if it'll show it, but like it comes in a tin box.
Oh, wow.
And then that thing comes in, and it's actually got like a fitted hard case.
Wow. So it's like
$100 pretty nice
packaging.
It's all like magnesium construction and everything. And the cool thing about it, which is cool and kind of bad, but it's for being 15mm prime, it's actually a standard filter.
Okay.
Because most have the big bubble kind of sticking out of the top, where you have to have like a filter holder or anything if you want to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So this basically just has an inset almost in like a hood. I don't know if you can see that at all.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you could put the filter
So
in
a
a room.
A 95 millimeter filter fits right there.
Wow.
And so you don't have to get the
Yeah, that's not going to be
which sucks because they're expensive, but
Yeah, to take a mortgage.
but it's
for
still
that.
cheaper than buying the holder and the filters. And
Mm-hmm.
I barely tried it out, but I like it so far.
Mm-hmm.
Doing having such a fast lens, I wish it was still a little bit faster. Like Sigma makes a 14 millimeter 1.8,
Okay.
and I'd actually really like to get that lens, but it's like $1,600.
Okay.
So kind of working my way up to that one. But I'm in the process of replacing all my lenses with primes only.
Okay.
So I had that like 16 to 35 f4 LIS,
Mm-hmm.
which is a nice lens, but I think I'm going to get rid of that. And then I picked up this bad boy here. If you can see that at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the Sigma 135 1.8.
Ooh, sweet.
Yeah,
That's a nice one.
I tell you, it's a hell of a lens. I was kind of going between getting that 85 again and this, and I'm happy I went with this one. So basically, next I'm going to get is their 35 1.4 art. And then that'll, between this, this fast prime at 15 millimeter, and then the 35, that'll replace my 16 to 35.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't use anything generally in between anyway.
Okay. Yep.
And that's an f4, whereas, when I really want to like isolate details and stuff, the f4 is kind of tough unless you're right up on it,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the 1.4, obviously, and just the image quality of Sigma lenses, I'm just like blown away by how good they are.
Right.
I know Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these, like I said, this 135 is just crazy how good it is. I actually bought it specifically for a photo shoot, and I can't share any of those photos because it's kind of a top secret car that I shot. I literally can't tell anyone about it or share any photos, and the photos may never see the light of day. They're it's an old car. They're trying to sell it privately, and so basically, if someone buys it and then they want people to know they bought it, then the pictures will get out there.
Okay.
But otherwise, they'll just kind of languish on my computer and a couple other people's.
So in other words, whoever buys it it's up to them to notify you and say it's okay to publish the images then.
Well, I think the person I shot it for that was selling it, I think they would put out a press release or something probably.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's by far the most expensive car I've ever photographed.
Okay.
And I've shot cars that are $22 million.
Okay. So,
and this is that's nothing compared to this car. So,
okay. So let me guess, it's a 1974 Pinto? Is that
right?
Prime from the factory?
Yeah. And it was a burnt orange or some crap like that. Yeah.
Sun faded interior, you got it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I figured.
It's a bummer because
the
the
only
photos are cool
surviving one.
too.
All the other ones caught on fire.
Yeah, we rented out a racetrack all day for it and drove around and did all this stuff, and then I gave them like 140 photos or something like that, maybe more.
Okay. Yep.
And some may never see the light of day.
Hope,
apparently, they put the book.
The Saudi prince who buys it wants to let the world know.
Right. Yeah.
That's cool. That's really.
I heard him talking on the phone. What's that?
What's that, Pat?
Missed the question.
I was going to say, can you tell us anything about it at all? Is it a racetrack car only, or is it a street legal car? Or?
I think it can actually be driven street legal. It's a 1950s race car.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
And yeah, I heard them on the phone turning down offers that were like blow your mind and change anyone's life kind of thing. Well, I guess not anyone, obviously, if you're in the position where you can turn down.
Yeah. Wow.
The numbers they were throwing around.
So now Pat's photographing cars that are top secret. I don't know.
Yeah. The mafia cars. Yeah.
The bummer is I was supposed to do a different photo shoot that same day, and that one got pushed off, and I could have shared those ones, and I was supposed to do them both, and timing didn't work out.
Yeah, he's now shooting for the Russian mafia.
Yeah. I think that car has Jimmy Hoffa in the trunk is what I thought.
It's just I was pretty it was a pretty big letdown when I found out that like one of the rarest, most valuable cars I've ever photographed and got like super nice shots at a racetrack, I might not ever be able to show anyone.
Well, that's cool. That's just gotta be fun to be involved with something like that. I mean, and a testament to the work that you've done too, because I mean, obviously, you know. Although actually, they probably could have got like my 8-year-old nephew, because if the photos aren't going to be shown, I mean, you know, he could get the little Fisher Price camera and photograph it. I mean, you know.
Well, supposedly they printed books. I don't know how they'll get my hands on one of those books. I don't know why they made books.
Yeah.
To like give to potential buyers or something.
Yeah, that's exactly why you make books like that, and those books are, you know, guarded.
Well, for somebody that's producing, I mean, for photographers, I mean, even though everything's digital, having that book that you can hold and you can flip through and see the portfolio, I mean, makes a huge difference.
Well, to give you an idea, of like kind of how serious they were taking it, it was shot in a studio the day before that for that same book. And I think they said they were going to print like 50 of the books, maybe less. And I know they were paying like, you know, I thought they said like $400 or $500 printing cost per book. They're doing like probably like giant hardcover, super nice.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Oh yeah. If it's costing that much to print the book, then you.
Well, and obviously lower run number is always going to cost you more per.
Right, it's going to cost you, you know. But if you're selling something that exclusive and that kind of cost. I mean, that's what they do. That's
I mean, it's nothing to spend $10,000 or $20,000.
So now I assume and this is interesting to me, Pat, because when you get into the stuff that I do and you were doing a shoot like that, you wouldn't even get to edit the images. So I assume you edited them and then submitted them to them. How did they handle that process?
Just the way I always do it. But I mean, there's a handful of people that know about it, and it was kind of like there was always potential that, you know, it would leak. They probably want to leak to certain people, but I think they're trying to shop it around to a couple, like, you know, really big buyers initially, and hopefully get a couple people fighting for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like I said,
I'm sure you had to sign a non-disclosure agreement. I'm assuming, yeah.
Well, I didn't, but I have done so much work for them. This person.
Yeah, it wouldn't be worth it to ruin the relationship. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you just get the government grade disk wiping utility, and then just get rid of all the images.
So maybe one day, hopefully, I can share some of those.
Plausible deniability. That's cool. That's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, and hopefully, whoever buys the car is amenable to having information out in the wild, because it sounds like if they are, then they'll, you know, then the seller will publicize it, and then it goes down the line. Because
it's funny, they were keeping it quiet to the point where
brag about it. I mean, if I paid whatever it's going to be, 30 million, 40, 50 million, why not brag about it? You know? Yeah.
Well, that's the crazy thing is, like, I actually didn't even know what I was shooting until the night before. They already booked my flights and all that kind of stuff, but they wouldn't even tell me, because they didn't want anyone to know.
Yeah. That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah. So hopefully the buyer is a real man and owns up to the fact that he just paid a crap ton of money for an old car.
Some of them people are pretty damn secretive, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'd be in the same league as the guys that buy the stolen artwork. You know, someone steals a Rembrandt from the museum and somebody buys it, and they just keep it in their private collection and behind a wall in their basement or something. Yeah.
But there's one client one collector that I shoot some stuff for, and I'm literally not allowed in his garage to like see what he has. They have like no trespassing signs, and then there's only like a handful of people that are ever allowed in there. And I've shot multiple cars, so I have to fly out for it, and I know the guys pretty well and everything like that. But they say, they love to have me in, but basically their boss won't let anyone in that isn't authorized ahead of time and all that.
Yeah. Wow.
So.
Yeah, different league, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, and that guy, the minimum probably has a couple $100 million worth of cars on his property.
Yeah. That's different world, but it's a fun world. That's for sure. So let's jump into some of we got a few images here this week, And I'll jump into these and see, because I think a few here. That's awesome. That is. All right, so I'm assuming we'll just start here. I think this is the last one we shared 2 weeks ago, Wes? Maybe?
Yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the Sweetwater Wetlands. Foggy Wetland Breakdown. That was the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one was a new one. This is from Michael. Dream big, build small. So these are interesting. I'm assuming they're homes. Cheers for architects. Huh.
Yeah. Huh.
Europe. There you go. I guess you come in and maybe there's 2 levels in here or something. It looks like maybe these. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Or maybe just one. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Anybody want to live in something like that? I don't know.
You know, when they show these sorts of things on like small home shows and stuff like that, when it's a round deal in there, you can get quite a bit of space, but it's very hard to design for because it's round.
Yeah, there's no straight surfaces. Everything is curved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh, it's interesting. Yeah, they look like. Yeah, that's cool. But look at it. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, there's like 8 or 10 homes, I guess, in a relatively small space. So that's interesting. I like that. That's a cool shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
There we go. Pizza. Okay, so this is a great shot of pizza. Now, is this Domino's, Papa John's, or a local pizzeria?
Yeah, that was a local pizzeria there. It was well, it was one of those Instagram photos. I thought I'd share it on here as well because
cool.
I mean, pizza. Hello.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Posting pizza.
It's pizza. Like, I mean, come on. If you don't eat pizza, you don't like. I have met a couple of people that don't like pizza, and I have met in my life a couple of people that don't like bacon, and you're just like, who are you? You know what I'm saying?
We can't talk anymore.
Yeah.
What? Even vegans like bacon. You know what I'm saying?
Everything's better with bacon on it.
Get a circle theme going here.
I think this next photo is the photo, Pat. I think your NDA is broke.
Yeah, there it is. It leaked. Jose was on the shoot too, and he leaked it.
Yeah, and it's so valuable because it comes with the whole hill. And
you get the hill with the cross on top,
and they all match. That's why it's so.
Well, it's just so. Yeah. No, this is a Pinto wagon, or it looks like an Escort, maybe. Is that?
I think it's the AMC, isn't it? An AMC wagon. No.
Yeah, it's looking like
what the hell it is.
Like an Eagle.
Ford. That's looking like a mid-'80s Ford type thing.
Yeah.
It looks like the front end of like an early mid-'80s Escort or something. Yeah.
But
anyway, this has got to be. Yeah, this has got to be worth at least $50. Come on.
Yeah, and it's got Bible verses on it.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's kind of cool. I mean, this is like one of those Americana things, though.
Right.
This is totally. Like the. Yeah, he's got the nice perspective with the. He's like built by Leonard Knight with materials that were at hand and some donated paint.
And there's a hottie in the background there. Is that
Yep. Yeah. It's a tourist attraction. You got multiple cars in the back.
Yeah. It's
And,
you got some.
There's a waterfall, painted waterfall.
Big tires in there, and some fake painted trees. And
Look, the car's got one of those deer repellers on the front. Remember those things that's supposed to shoot out the ultrasonic waves to keep the deer from hitting your valuable 1984 Ford Escort?
Apparently, they're running over a lot of stuff with the cage over the headlamps too. They were
off-roading,
doing some damage.
Yeah.
This
one's ready for the zombie apocalypse. We're set.
I was just thinking that. Yeah.
That's a cool shot. I mean, that's and here's the old guy hanging out, the man at Salvation Mountain.
That's the artiste.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but he's got his canteen, and
Dead
like-
cat or dead dog.
That Pall Mall Reds.
Yeah, I
No.
think they are Pall Mall Reds, aren't they? That's funny.
He's still got an iPhone though, or a
Yeah, he's
Samsung
got
or
a
whatever.
phone there, and he's got the dog in the background. He's got the Vietnam War era issued canteen. It looks like.
See that car's so valuable. He wears the key around his neck.
Yeah.
Come on, Pat.
Yeah. Yep. That's kind of cool. Very cool. In Bombay Beach.
Salvation Mountain, it's called. Did you see that? Thank you for visiting Salvation Mountain.
Yes. Yep. I got the whole story. The guy built it. Welcome to walk up the yellow brick road that leads from the Sea of Galilee to the cross at the top of Salvation Mountain. Over the years, Leonard learned how to. His first one of concrete fell down in 1986. I guess God wanted me to do it different, so he did. Yeah. It's the guy that was. Oh, look at the guy's eyebrows in there. That's awesome.
Yeah. The eyebrow. Yeah, he's just that's him, man.
Yeah. This looks like an old bus or VW bus or
behind
something.
him,
in the
yeah.
back, huh? That's
Yeah.
cool.
And
That's,
he probably hasn't showered that whole 28 years.
Yeah. Wow. That's so here we go. Salton Sea. Have you ever been to the Salton Sea, Frank? I haven't.
Never have.
This is down near look at that. Bombay Beach. Got a tire and a boat. Is this that's now this was the Salton Sea created, was it from the flooding of the Colorado River or something? It was something that came about from
I think they diverted the water from that area
okay.
to LA,
Yeah.
and it's just been lowering its capacity ever since.
Yeah, evaporating and then just sucking up all the salt that's in the
Yeah, because the output was a lot greater than the input apparently.
mhm. So near Indio. Huh. That's kind of cool. I mean, that's very stark image. Kinda-
Mhm.
There's a guy. At some point, maybe somebody went out there and fished. I don't know.
I'm not sure what are you going to catch.
I don't know. 20 years ago,
Right.
maybe something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
A tire. You can
Yeah.
catch a tire.
Here we go. So Laguna Seca. Shot for Pilotti?
Pelote, yeah. They're like a driving shoe company. That's actually one of their bags. We just set it next to someone's car
okay.
to take a picture.
Okay. So you found an old Ferrari, put a bag next to it, and
Yeah. It's actually probably my favorite old Ferrari of all the different models, the 250 short wheelbase.
yeah, it is a very cool car.
That's one of the competition
What year?
ones too. That's why it doesn't have bumpers or anything. It's probably a 54, something like that.
Okay.
Mhm.
Maybe a little bit newer.
Gorgeous car.
Wow.
Now, is this a single shot or is this
No.
a composite?
Yeah, it's a composite. I'm not sure how many images or whatever. And that, just so you know, that curve in the grill, the waviness, I did not add that. That's actually how it is. So,
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's not me screwing up the composite. It's actually bent like that.
Huh.
Because I actually saw
So-
that and I'm like, oh, that looks awesome. But I went back to the single images and I'm like, nope, it's there.
So I wonder if that means it was probably like hand hammered or something, you know?
Oh yeah, all these cars were, you know, and then
Yeah,
this one is actually like it's one of the competition ones, so
Yeah.
it's probably been raced, you know, ever since it was new, you know, 60
Uh-huh.
years ago. Or whatever.
Yeah. So this is it an aluminum body?
I think they are, yeah. I think the competition ones are. It's probably like a $15 million car, something like that.
Okay. And what engine did it have in it?
It's a V12.
V12. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sound pretty amazing. That's a super cool event. It was the first year I've gone to it. It's in Monterey in August. It's a big car week. This
Okay.
is like the historic races, so it's a bunch of old vintage race cars, and they take them out there. And some of the guys drive them pretty hard. But regardless, it's pretty awesome to actually, you know, hear them like
Mhm.
moving around a track and everything versus like behind velvet ropes or something.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Awesome.
an exhausting trip and day though. Like for this, I actually flew in to Sacramento, or no, San Jose that morning. Drove up to to Monterey, photographed this all day long. Then I actually had to drive back to San Jose because that's where my hotel was. It's the only one I could get on short notice.
Mm-hmm.
And then I drove back up to Monterey the next morning to Pebble Beach for sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
So I left at like 4 in the morning, and then spent all day there, and then drove back to San Jose and flew home. So
Wow.
it was absurd. So
Not much sleep that couple days.
So I want to go back possibly this year and kind of just go on my own.
Mm-hmm.
This is all paid for me. You know, everything was paid for this trip, so that was good. But I didn't really get to enjoy it at all. So
yeah,
I think this year I'm going to try to go out and spend a few days there.
Just kind of do your own thing. Yeah.
And I mean, just walking around a place like that, I run into like a half dozen people I know.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd be fun to, you know, kind of hang out a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's a beautiful area of the country too. Oh man.
Yeah.
I've been there a few times, but never during one of the major events like this. And yeah, it's a great place to hang out. Yeah, that's an awesome vehicle. I don't think it could beat that Escort though in a race up Salvation Mountain.
Are you kidding me? No way.
Okay, so here we go. Vintage. This looks like an Alpha, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's like a Tipo 32, maybe Tipo 33. I can't remember which one.
Mm-hmm.
I just posted them just a second ago, so I didn't have time to actually properly label them. But yeah, that was one of my favorite cars out there. It's like so speed racer, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It does, yeah. Yep.
That thing's
Is it got the
pretty cool
center of the
too.
wheel?
Especially that blue one. That blue one, I think that is the Speed Racer car, isn't it?
I'm not sure what that one is. It's I can't remember. Obviously, the badge is blurry, so I can't even pick it out. But the amount of kind of interesting old race cars.
Yeah, it's got to be amazing. Just people from all over the world. I mean, this is one of the premier events. So, yeah, the colors on that are great. That yellow on the wheels and that red. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably like a mid-mounted V8, I'm guessing. I'm not sure.
All right. I love how the scoop is built into the roll bar basically. That's neat. Yeah. Now, were they racing this car? Were they racing these?
I think he's got his kid there.
I would imagine they were racing these. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That is a very neat shot.
That's the thing. Like every single car that's there is out on the track at some point.
Okay.
Oh,
so,
all right. So
yeah, anything there.
Especially every car's raced.
Yeah. I mean, there might be a couple people that have stuff on display, but like sponsors or something. But all this kind of stuff is raced, and I got some shots of that one going around the track.
Mm-hmm.
The Alpha.
That's kind of like if you're gonna bring your car, plan on putting your car on the track. Yeah, it's not gonna be a static display. Ooh, there you go. SL HK Engineering. Is this the place in Germany, right?
Yeah, I think it's in that magazine. I think you have that issue. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Kind of wrote that article very quickly, to be honest, but yeah, that was a crazy place. They had I think they had at least 24 300 SLs there.
Wow.
At the time. And they're in various, and this is one of the ones they race. They're actually very, very involved with vintage racing.
Okay.
And so that was like a period race car that they, are still racing. Because you can see that particular car, well, they might have, I guess underneath the fog lamps, it looks like there's the bumper mounts are kind of blocked off.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm guessing that car never actually even had them.
Yeah.
I think that one's a Roadster. Maybe there's a Going. I can't remember now.
Looks like that. Yeah, you can tell this one.
Makes me wonder what do they do when they get in an accident? You bang up a fender. Do you fabricate a new one or?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. These guys, they actually have some of the original bucks and everything, and at their shop, so they can actually get the original form and hammer out. But one thing I realized with these cars is all these old ones, depending on the manufacturer, especially 300 SLs, the German stuff probably not as much. But if you look at old English cars, I'll do a front dead-on shot, and I'll be trying to level it in Photoshop and make sure it's centered and everything like that. And then I can't seem to get it right. And then I actually look at it, and it's just simply that the right headlight is 3 inches higher than the left one. Like this one, it almost looks like it might be the same case where that left headlight to me looks quite a bit lower than the right.
Yeah.
That could be an optical illusion, but it wouldn't surprise me because these are just all hand formed and, you know, they'll be a little wonky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because actually, if you look at like the gap between the marker on the right and the headlamp on the right one versus the left, there's almost no gap on the left, or they're almost touching on the right. There's like a half-inch gap.
Yep.
So I mean, I think that's actually pretty typical for these cars.
Yeah. So they get the engine and a driveline dialed in, and then they just put something over the top that'll work. And yeah.
Well, and a lot of these older ones, like especially the stuff that was raced at the Mille Miglia or Le Mans, that kind of stuff. I mean, you know, there's no part of that body that's original because they've been wrecked so many different times and so smashed up that. And I've seen old cool race cars where they, you know, the people don't restore them, they just bring them back to like drivable station, and the benders will be all wavy and stuff from them pounding it out and everything like that, and little dimples everywhere. And I actually really like that.
Yeah, it just shows that the car's actually been used for what it was designed to do, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's a neat.
And this place was in an old monastery. It's like an absolutely amazing building. The guy restored this monastery and turned it into a car restoration and sales shop.
Oh wow!
But it's just crazy. This is
nice.
like in the basement somewhere.
There's a guy I watch occasionally on YouTube, and he does food reviews. Basically, he goes to different parts of the world and, you know, has food and stuff like that. Well, he's been in Mexico lately, so a lot of his videos have been coming from Mexico. So he went on taco tour of Mexico City, and he went to this one taco place that during the day it's a mechanic shop, and then at night it's a taqueria. So they at night it's a restaurant, and during the day you get your car fixed there. It's crazy. Yeah, it was like
they're damn good tacos too.
That is crazy, isn't it? So like, you know, you saying this was a monastery, you know what I'm saying? I could just picture them praying, you know, and brewing beer, and now they fix cars there. It's crazy.
Multitasking.
Yeah.
So this was Mazda 787B.
Yes, so that's at that same racetrack. You know, that's an example of one of the cars, and this actually is kind of an iconic car as far as this kind of stuff goes. And this is just to the right behind it. It just came over what they call the corkscrew. At Laguna Seca, it's like a very famous turn. And so it's pretty awesome to see this car there, because basically this car like won this race and won all this stuff, and then they made all these rule changes a year after to outlaw it because like it was just too dominant.
Okay.
So like I said, it's a very famous one. You know, obviously I think there's only like 2 or 3 of them that exist, and it sounds just outrageous because it's a rotary engine.
Okay.
You know, like a Winkle, whatever. So there's like, it's like a 3 rotor though, naturally aspirated, and it's so outrageously loud and doesn't sound like anything else. And it was very, very cool to.
Yeah.
I was like, one of the cars there, I have to get a shot of that on the track.
I remember when I was in high school in the 80s, I read an article about this Mazda. It made some land speed record using a Wankel engine, and it was over 200 miles an hour, but the displacement on that was 89 cubic inches.
Yeah. I saw things that they're amazing. That's part of it, is that it, you know, it's not pistons, it's these sort of triangle spinning wheels inside it. So it, like the displacement's much smaller, but really it's about double that if you try to convert it to like what a normal motor would be. And so they were able to get, you know, under the displacement regulations, basically have a much bigger motor, but technically be a smaller motor and all this stuff. So then after that, they were like, nope, they're just too dominant, no more.
Which makes it
Mazda though. As I say, Mazda, that's kind of their big thing for a long time, was the rotary engines, and they were kind of trying to prove all the RX-7 or RX-3, RX-7, RX-8. Those are all the rotary street cars that they built.
And they're good. I mean, they're relatively durable cars and all that, but the problem is they just go through oil. I mean, they're always leaking. They're very.
They're like a 2-stroke that they actually burn oil when they run a little bit.
Yeah.
So then, they kind of they're a shorter lifespan for the motors. Like they're reliable, but they just wear out.
Yeah,
Eventually.
and they're not, and the mileage, they're not going to be high mileage King. So that's I think that was the big thing. They weren't able to mileage, standards with them because they just couldn't bump up the the mileage out of them. Yeah, that's cool. Here we go. McLaren 570S Spider.
Me too.
Bright yellow.
Yeah, I shared some pictures of some before, but
Sure.
I just did one more, so I figured.
Mm-hmm. Why not?
This one's
That
only
has to be here, huh, Pat?
What's that?
Only
That-
250?
Yeah.
And that's see.
That was here, Pat.
Yeah, that's in Scottsdale,
Yeah.
Air Park.
There's a guy on YouTube. His name is Doug DeMuro. I don't know if you ever watched his videos.
No.
He'll take a car like this, like a McLaren, and talk about its quirks and its features and its build quality, and then take it on the road and give you an idea of what it's like to drive as a car, not necessarily as a supercar. And it's just really interesting how he'll take an old Countach from the early '80s and show how not really great it was really put together.
No, they're terrible. Countaches are awful cars. Truly.
But if you were 15 years old back in the '80s, you had one. It had a picture that put pin cushion to your wall in your bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Right next to Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah.
It looks great. It's a great looking car, just not a very well built car.
Yeah.
Terrible to drive too.
Yeah. That's a very cool car. I like that. Like color
That's what
on
you
it.
get when a tractor company builds cars.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Porsche too, though.
Yeah. I heard
Porsche
stories
started
of
off as
Lamborghini
tractors
took
also.
on the showroom floor.
Yeah. That's some cool images. Thank you for sharing those, Pat. That's
Very nice.
awesome. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good stuff. Good
Yeah,
end
this
to
is
the
up.
good end of the show. Yeah. Good one. So I'll Wes, get your lens working, get some images from your new lens, and we expect you could probably sell your idea to like Amazon or Netflix. You can probably get it produced and turn it into a series. You can be like the EOS binge.
Mm-hmm. I heard that Bezos is looking for a new hit show, so
Yeah.
Right.
give him a call.
EOS, the show.
Yeah.
You got to involve some mob and some methamphetamine and toss in some fast cars and women, and you'd probably be good.
Don't forget the rock and roll.
Yeah. Cool. Well, good one, guys. Very good show. Appreciate everybody sharing, and we will be back here. Next week. I'm going to take it's going to be a few weeks. I'm going up to Pittsburgh for a couple weeks. So that's going to be like the last week of March and the first week of April, I think. So I might not do a show those 2 weeks. But other than that, we should be good. So thanks for popping in, guys. I'll go ahead and stop this sharing here, maybe. There we go. So thanks for popping in. Appreciate it. Good show as always. Some great images. And I think Pat actually did photograph the Escort at Salvation Mountain, but we won't. We're just gonna have to wait.
I wish I could tell you, but
Yeah.
you're not.
You can't.
But then I'd have to send you to Salvation Mountain if I told you. All right. Hey guys, thank you very much, Frank.
Yeah.
Good seeing you, Joe. Take care, Pat. Hope to see you on future shows. And Wes,
Cheers.
you're working on that project. I think you've got a lot of work ahead of you there.
Yeah, that's going to be a hell of a lot. That's a cool project, man.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. So I'm waiting for it to get made into a movie somehow. Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll write the screenplay.
All right.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Good one.
See
See
ya.
ya. All right. Bye.